Oh, that was one of my worst yet. What's up, everybody? So I've had a slackline for a year now and I've never used it. There's nothing worse than being with friends and they set up a cool slackline at the beach or in the mountains and you can't do it. So I've always wanted to be able to slackline and I decided now is the time to learn. I'm going to learn how to do this. So I went for it. I thought, what better time than now? And I kind of did hope that in learning how to slackline, I would be reminded of the principles of what it takes to learn any skill. So this video is about me learning how to slackline, but it's also, and more so, about this idea of skill acquisition and the principles that help us in learning any skill. So I'm gonna kind of go over the principles that I learned in learning how to slackline and how they kind of can apply to anything we wanna learn skill-wise. So the first thing that helped me was setting a goal, setting an objective that was specific. My goal was, I'm going to give myself 5 days to go from completely terrible at slacklining to proficient. I wanted to at least be able to slackline. I wanted to be able to walk from tree to tree. I think it's important to give specific goals, specific timelines in learning something new, or else you kind of have this vague idea of maybe I'll do it today, maybe I won't. But by only giving myself 5 days, it added a sense of urgency towards the process, and it also almost invigorated the competitive side of me. I was like, all right, I only got 5 days, let's do this shit. After I kind of set up a goal for myself, I decided I needed to learn the basic rules, the guidelines, the tips before I put in practice. The benefit of not knowing how to do something is that you don't have any bad habits. And so I think just getting the basics down, how can I do this? How can I do this properly? So the first thing I did was text a friend. Today I texted a buddy who's a pretty good slackliner and I said, like, what are a couple things I could do to, that I might not think to do? And he just said, make sure your arms are out to help you balance. They're kind of like gauges to help you balance. And then he also said, make sure you're looking across the line at a fixed point rather than looking down at your feet. It's helpful when you're learning a new skill to ask for basic guidelines so that you know you're practicing the right way, because nothing worse than putting in reps the wrong way. In the beginning stages of learning anything, it's so hard to fathom being good at that thing because of how bad you are. And I felt that I was so bad at slacklining. That first day and a half, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't take a step, I couldn't walk, my legs were shaking, and it was so hard to even fathom, how am I gonna be able to do this in 5 days? But I think what helps me and what can help anybody is, like, you can't take yourself too serious at the beginning of any skill, whether that's learning a language, learning a physical skill, or learning something in your business, whatever it is. I think not taking yourself too serious in the beginning and just showing up over and over again is important. And I had to definitely put my ego away and just be okay with falling over and over and over again. I had to remind myself that everybody was once bad at this. It's not a me thing, it's just the nature of learning a skill. I had a friend come over, and my buddy Austin came by, and he's a good slackliner. And it reminded me, in the early stages of learning a skill, it is so helpful to have someone there who's better at that skill than you to give you feedback and guidance and encouragement. And in being around him, he was able to reassure me that, like, my progress is normal. He was able to assure me, like, hey man, you're doing good. You're like, you'll get it. And his encouragement made me feel like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, it gave me hope that I could eventually get better. And I think that was so important. And then also another benefit of having someone around that is better than you at the thing you want to learn, you're able to kind of model after them. Like, so seeing my buddy Austin do these things and seeing how he had his arms out and seeing how he walked and moved, I was able to almost emulate that in my reps after. So having that guidance is so important, and it reminds me of all the times in my life I've tried to learn a skill by myself without any feedback, without any help, without any guidance. And when I do things alone, it's easy to second guess myself, but having someone there, I think, just expedites the process so much. So after that second day slacklining with Austin, that's when I really began to feel like I was starting to get better. I felt like I was really starting to get the hang of it. I was starting to have more fun. Then it becomes just a matter of getting enough reps in, getting repetition in. For any skill, it takes time for our mind, our body, our nervous system to kind of create new neural pathways to create muscle memory. And I kind of knew that, I have a history of being an athlete, and so I knew you can't get good at anything without putting in just reps and reps and reps. And so again, I was falling, but I was just doing it over and over and over again, trusting that my nervous system, my mind, my body would begin to adapt. End of day 2, calling it a night. I probably slacked 2 hours today, at least. Repetitions help. It helped to practice like the bare basics, and then from there, just have fun with it and enjoy it and kind of loosen up about it. Having a friend here helped. I definitely got a lot better today. So I'm excited to see where I'll be out in 5 days. That's it. Look at this view. Look at this view. All right, that's it. I can feel like my inner thigh muscles, like the stabilizers, I can feel them almost twitching and they're sore. And then when I lay down, it's that feeling when you've been on like a boat all day or you've been on roller coasters all day. It's that feeling of like when I rest, I can still feel my nervous system and my mind feeling like I'm still moving. It's very weird. It's almost like I'm still on the beam, still swaying. It's very trippy how the body, the nervous system, the mind is always kind of processing the things we do throughout our day. And this is like a very dramatic example of that. I was reminded how important sleep was. There's so much research going into this that if we put in repetition and if we try to learn a skill, whether it's physical or learning a language or an instrument or learning something in your business, if we don't get proper sleep and rest and allow our body to integrate all that we've learned, the work we put in is kind of wasted. Get enough sleep so that your body, your mind, your nervous system, and your subconscious can process all the work that you're doing throughout the day. If you're interested in the science behind this, definitely check out Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. Beyond sleep, what also helped me is like things like yoga and strengthening my core. Those are things I do anyways, but I feel like those definitely set me up for success with this particular sport. I think yoga helps with any sport, any physical activity, just because it allows the stagnation of the body to go away. It helps loosen up your muscles and joints. It helps balance and core strength, which I think is at the foundation of any physical skill. So that definitely helped. Another surprising thing that helped in this slacklining process was inviting my buddy Justin over, and it was one of his first times ever doing it. And surprisingly, that was of major value to me. In practicing with someone that was worse than me at this skill, it allowed me to see how far I had progressed in just a few short days. By having someone there that was worse than me, I was actually able to give him pointers and guidance myself. And I had only been doing it for a few days, but I had learned enough to give him pointers. And in teaching someone else, you are able to further ingrain those teachings into your own craft. And I think there's so much value to kind of giving guidance to someone who's just behind you in anything. I got my first tree to tree, there and back. I did it. By day 4, it definitely became just a matter of getting out of my head and trusting all the work I had put in the days prior. In the beginning, when you learn a skill, you have to consciously think about everything you're doing. But by a certain amount, it's almost counterintuitive at that point. So I had to learn how to get out of my own head. I meditate almost every day, and that reminded me how important meditation is, not only for like a spiritual practice and a mentality practice and a happiness practice, but learning how to slackline reminded me meditation is a performance enhancing practice, because when I was on the slackline, I had to be very careful not to, let my mind wander, because if my mind wandered, I would fall right off the line. And so I had to be very present. I had to be very mindful of my movement. I had to be in my body, trusting my instincts. And I feel like my mindfulness, my meditation practice, you're training yourself to release distraction and come back to the breath, come back to the body, come back to the moment. And I think my meditation practice definitely affected my ability to learn how to slackline, because I was on the slackline, my mind would wander, and thanks to my meditation practice, I felt like I could come back maybe a little more quickly than had I not had that meditation practice. There's a fly. So by the end of day 4, I was getting it down. Today, I felt very competent. I was able to get there and back on the line to the tree and back pretty easily. And so now I'm getting tricky. Day 5 has been I'm trying to get this thing where I like jump on the line. So that's been one of the things I'm trying to practice, is like I'm trying to like jump onto the line, which is like pretty tricky, and then trying to get to the end of the line and turn around and walk back. That's the sequence I've decided I'm committed to. I think if I could get that, that would be like pretty damn cool. It's funny, it's more of a workout today. I'm like sweaty because all the jumping I'm doing to get on this line and then like all the focus. But it's cool now to be able to like not just try to walk on the line. I feel like I've surpassed that finally. I can walk. I have that down. Now it's been about trying to add some flavor and add some style. You know, I really wanted to land this thing by the end of day 5, which was kind of the end of my period. I almost had it a couple times. Like, it's getting dark now, so I'm gonna wrap it up. And so that night at the end of day 4, I did some mental rehearsal, mental visualization exercises. It was a good opportunity for me to practice all the things I tell athletes to do, which is visualize, mentally rehearse the thing you want to do, to train your nervous system, to train your brain to be ready to make the outcome you want to happen. And so that night I did. I practiced visualization, I did some mental reps, I did mental rehearsal, and it fucking worked. First try on the line for the day, and I do a turnaround, baby. But literally 2 of the first 3 times on the line today, I successfully turned around on the slack line. Visualization, the practice in my head last night definitely worked. There's no way I would have had that smooth my first time had I not done some mental rehearsing. That shit's nuts how well that works. I'll take it, baby. I'll take it. Got the 180, baby. Now I gotta get it cleaner. It was like such a validating feeling that, oh yeah, the things I talk about actually do work. Visualization does work. And so by the end of the 5th day, I accomplished my goal. I did the thing where I could jump onto the line and walk across and turn around. I was so stoked about that. And so at the end of the 5 days, you know, I gave myself credit where it was due. I got better. I accomplished my goal of becoming a proficient slackliner. Yes, I can't do some of the crazy skills that people can do. Let's just appreciate how good people are at slacklining. It blows my mind what people can do on a tightrope in between 2 trees. Like, people are so good at slacklining. I can't do that, but I can walk on it, and I can turn around and I can jump onto it. And so that alone for me was a win. I think it's important to give yourself credit where it's due, you know, adjust and refine as you see fit and continue that process. So learning how to slackline for me was a very fun and silly way to kind of remind myself what it takes to learn any skill. So I hope this video was kind of cool for you. This is me kind of experimenting with new video styles. I am a freelance creative, and the fact that I don't make videos for myself and my audience kind of is silly. So I'm trying to do this more, and that is why I took this, you know, very silly example of learning how to slackline and tried to make it educational for you. I'm all about learning how to live an intentional, happy, and high-performing life. I learn through people I interview, I learn through books, podcasts, and my own spiritual practices, and I am excited to continue to share things that hopefully help you live an intentional, happy, and high-performing life. I'm excited to make more videos. Hit the subscribe button, and if you feel like it, hit the bell button too. I'm new to YouTube. This is new. I don't know how to end a video. That's it. Bye.